All right, Donald Trump is going to have a tough time getting some of his picks through. That's not to say they're on the verge of not getting picked, but the resistance is interesting. What he's getting on the Republican side, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, very concerned about some of those picks' ties to Russia. For example, the ExxonMobil head, who is touted to be the next Secretary of State. I could go on about Rand Paul, who's raised questions about John Bolton and whether he should get any role conducting foreign policy. The read now from former Senator, Republican leader, Trent Lott. Always good to have you, Senator. What do you make of that? That surprisingly, the path of most resistance could come from fellow Republicans.
Well, first let me say, Neil, it's good to be back on your show.
Same here.
We missed you for that bit that you were on earlier this year, and it looked like it agreed with you. You're looking really good. But
no hard questions now, Senator, so monopolize the time. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I think that President-elect Donald Trump has been making great selections, beginning with the Vice President. Pence has just been doing fantastic. He was the right choice, going to do a good job. The President-elect has already, I guess, selected about 12 or 14 key people, all the way from his chief of staff to the Secretary of Commerce and Labor and Transportation. Let me just say, I think he's been doing great. You can't get any better than Elaine Chao at Transportation, or Kathy McMorris Rogers at Interior, General Mathis at Defense. I mean, he's doing a great job. Will there be some reservations about some of them? Surely. We don't even know who's going to be the Secretary of State selection, so I would hold my fire until we see who the nominee is.
I understand that, but if it is Tillerson, he seemed a lot seems to be coalescing around it. You're right, sir. Anything could change. But the biggest angst I hear is from a number of Republicans who are leery of his close ties to Vladimir Putin. Should that be a confirmation breaker to you?
It should not be a confirmation breaker. I know Rex Tillerson. I've dealt with him in a business sense. I think he's one of the world's greatest CEOs. I've dealt with him in a charitable sense. He was chairman of the Ford Theater board here in Washington. The guy is fantastic. And, I can remember having some arguments with him, and he's tough. Look, he knows leaders all over the world. He's dealt with them from a business standpoint. Putin is the leader of Russia. We're going to have to find a way to deal with him in a sensible way, and do a better job, by the way, than the Obama administration has been doing. Certainly, we haven't had a good relationship with Putin, and I think we need to figure out what is the best way to deal with him, and I think Donald Trump will be able to do that, and I think his Secretary of State will be, too. Let me make one other point. Bob Dole asked me to head up the nomination process in the Senate when Bill Clinton became president. By the day he was inaugurated, all of his senior cabinet positions had been confirmed. The President of the United States is entitled to the benefit of the doubt with his nominees. The Senate has a right of advise and consent, but I think they need to be very careful about coming out and taking positions before they even know who the nominee will be.
Senator, John McCain, Lindsey Graham have raised concerns about indications of possible Russian hacking in the election, and that they want hearings right away. Donald Trump has dismissed those concerns. What do you think?
Well, I think maybe we ought to wait and see what happened, and therefore maybe the Intelligence Committee and the Senate should look into it. I think the whole thing looks a little suspicious to me as to how this has been leaked out. There's obviously been some misinformation or inaccurate information. The FBI has a different position than the CIA. The reason
why I ask her is John Bolton was here, of course, who's convinced. He's not quite convinced it was Russians. It could be China, but he's convinced that some foreign country was messing around our elections. Are you convinced of that?
I'm not convinced of it, but I'd like to know, because if that is true, that is a very aggressive act, and we would have to be prepared to deal with it in the future, block it, and perhaps even take actions because of it. But to have it leaked out through some political operative or the CIA to start saying, well, because they didn't release the Republican National Committee emails, it must have been something designed to try to help Trump. Come on, give me a break. They may want to mess with our elections, and that would be a huge offense. But I think before we start jumping to conclusions, we ought to know what actually happened. That's what we have bipartisan committees for.
If indeed a country or countries were involved, that it could have influenced the result in one way, shape, or form?
I don't know. I'd like to know for sure what happened, number one, and frankly, I doubt it. You're trying to tell me that the Russians and Putin would rather have a tough guy like Trump than Hillary Clinton, who had already tried the reset, and it didn't work. So why would they want somebody stronger in that position? But what they want is somebody that they can respect and they can deal with honestly, hopefully.
All right, Senator, good seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.